Hello everybody, thank you for watching another live stream video where we take a deep dive into the matchup between Megan Anderson and Zarah Fairn dos Santos, which takes place this weekend at UFC 243. If you are watching this video live on Twitch, please subscribe to my brand new Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler. If you're on YouTube, I will leave a link to that in the description below if you would like to watch these videos live so that you can ask me questions and participate in this video by researching this fight with me. We can come up with different ideas and discuss different aspects of the footage we are about to watch. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please leave a like and also subscribe if you haven't already, and please leave me a comment to let me know what you think of this video, if you'll be betting Dos Santos or Megan Anderson based on the information we discover in this video. Let me know what you think of this fight. I read pretty much all my comments, even if I don't always have time to respond to you, so please leave me a comment. So now let's jump into the first stage of this video, where we really want to go through some X factors and talk a little bit about what Megan Anderson brings to the table, because obviously we are going to be watching plenty of footage on Zarah Fairn dos Santos in this fight. So of course the first and most obvious X factor to get out of the way is that this is Dos Santos' first fight in the UFC. It will be her debut. And obviously Megan Anderson is a popular Australian fighter. She'll have home advantage on her side. She won't want to let her fans down in her home nation. She will be bang up for this fight. And Megan Anderson, very aggressive, hits very hard. One of the few female fighters in the world with legit one-shot KO power. This is certainly no picnic for Dos Santos. Very difficult opponent to make your debut against. But as we know, Anderson does have some significant weaknesses, mainly her takedown defense and ground game, that hopefully Dos Santos will be able to exploit. Because if we look at the current odds, Dos Santos is currently an absolutely massive underdog at average odds of around about 4.75, which is plus 375, which means we really don't need to see much at all in order to pull the trigger on Dos Santos. So she's definitely a potential bet due to Megan Anderson's poor ground game, bad takedown defense. I'd be surprised if we ended up betting her as a big favourite. You know, odds of 1.20, which is minus 500 for an implied probability of 83%, means you'd have to cap Anderson at close to 90% in order to bet her here, which is so difficult in MMA. Because you have to bear in mind the fact that, you know, Megan Anderson might be coming into this fight injured. She might have a bad weight cut. You know, she might suffer from stress, nerves, anxiety on the night of the fight and significantly underperform. She might injure herself in the fight. She might get a point deducted. There are a whole host of things that can go wrong in MMA, which makes it very difficult to cap any fighter at 90%. So unless Dos Santos is really bad and poses absolutely no threat to Megan Anderson at all, it is very unlikely that we will be betting her this weekend at UFC 243. So let's get into maybe looking into a couple of other X factors. So the first thing we want to check is that neither of these girls is taking the fight on short notice. They're not. It appears that both these girls are taking the fight on a full camp, which is great. And we know that Megan Anderson trains at the gym. Megan Anderson, obviously she trains at a gym, but she trains with James Krause. Let's see if she is still at that camp. So she trains with James Krause. Absolutely beautiful pictures. Megan Anderson is an absolutely stunning girl, but not too many clues on her Instagram as to who she's been training with for this fight, which is a shame, although I'm certainly not complaining about her Instagram profile. I think it's absolutely bloody brilliant. But it would be nice to see who she's been training with for this fight. Can't really see anything there. This was from last month, or August, a couple of months ago. All standalone pictures, which is a bit unfortunate. So I'm assuming, I mean, there's James Krause from a video that was recorded back in June. There's so many sickos on Instagram, man. Can you kick me? Jesus Christ, Joshy. get a life, bro. But she does still appear to be training with James Krause, but no more information available on like specific training partners, which is a bit annoying. But as you can see, 366,000 followers. Megan Anderson, considering she has only, her record's not the best, 8-4, has only had 3 fights in the UFC, 2 of them ended very quickly. To have over 350,000 followers is amazing. Just goes to show, the draw that Anderson has. And obviously, she will not want to let her followers down, her fans down this weekend in her home nation. So, tough debut for Dos Santos this. But as we know, Megan Anderson's not bulletproof. And what I would say about Anderson is, like we said, she's one of the few female fighters that possesses legit one-shot KO power. She's very aggressive, very, very technical, fights long. When Anderson... I would say Anderson's up there with Cyborg in the way that Cyborg's one of those few female fighters that when she hits girls, they have a look in their eyes like they've never been hit like that before by another female. And Anderson kind of gets the same reaction from her opponents. When she lands a big shot on them, it's like they've never felt that kind of power before. She had Holly Holm in a state of panic early in the first round and early in the second. And that just goes to show how dangerous Anderson is. But unfortunately, her takedown defense and ground game is very, very poor. She's white belt level on the ground, very low level. If you can get her to the ground, you stand a great chance of beating Anderson. And Anderson is a very, very talented fighter, very, very intelligent. Like when you see her in interviews, you listen to her on podcasts and stuff, she's clearly so intelligent. She's an intelligent girl, she's a beautiful girl, she's an incredible athlete, a great fighter, devastating striker, and all these things kind of suggest that she'd be evolving, right? Because she's not a knucklehead. She's not one of these fighters that's got a big ego and they don't want to address their weaknesses. She is so intelligent. You can tell that when you listen to her speak. And for that reason, you always expect her to improve that takedown defense and ground game, even just a bit. And every fight, when I come to research a Megan Anderson fight, I say, look, there's probably value on her opponent here. But if she's able to keep the fight standing, she's a nightmare. And the thing is with Anderson, she's so athletic and so intelligent, she could probably develop relatively good takedown defense semi-quickly. But for whatever reason, she doesn't. Every single fight, she looks just as vulnerable on the ground as she did before that. And there doesn't seem to be any improvements, any notable improvements in her takedown defense and grappling, which is a real shame. So, again, I've got to say it here. Maybe she comes in with improved takedown defense and improved ground game. But based on her fight just, 5 months ago back in May against Felicia Spencer, it's fair to say that her ground game and takedown defense is still at a very, very low level, which is strange because Glory MMA and Fitness, it's a decent gym to train at. I don't know what's going on with Anderson. She ticks a lot of boxes, but it just doesn't seem to be any real improvement in that takedown defense and ground game, which is a big concern. I mean, from the way that Dos Santos looks, with the ankle wraps and stuff, she certainly looks like a kickboxer. So, maybe she won't pose a threat to Anderson when it comes to grappling. But this is mixed martial arts, you never know, right? Now let's take a look at how these girls match up from a size perspective. So Megan Anderson's absolutely huge, don't mean that disrespectfully. But she's very, very tall for a female fighter at 6 foot tall. There aren't many female fighters that are that tall. I think Cyborg's only about 5'8". So Anderson, very, very big for the division. She towers over almost all of her opponents. She's an absolute beast in the best kind of way. She also has a 72-inch reach, which is relatively long for a female fighter as well. And then she is going up against Dos Santos, who also looks really big for the division at 5'10". She actually has a slight reach advantage over Megan Anderson, only an inch though, so shouldn't really play too much of a factor. And of course, with these girls being very tall, this is obviously going to take place in the featherweight division. So, Moneyman Investing has said, a lot of people are saying this is a setup fight for Anderson to win. Do you not agree? We don't know, man. We got to research the fight first. There's no way to be sure. What I would say is there's no setup fights in MMA. So hopefully we will we will get to see now whether this is a setup fight or not. WDE98 said DC talked about that on detail. What did DC say, man? Let me know. I'm really interested to hear what DC said. DC's an absolute beast. So would love to know. Would definitely love to know what he said. Anyway, let's just jump into some footage, right? We know what to expect from Anderson. So the first fight that we're going to watch from Dos Santos is going to be... Oh, actually, okay, so this is another X Factor. So she hasn't fought in almost 2 years. She's only 32 years old. She should be in the prime of her career. That's not good. Let's try and find out what she's been doing within that time. Why has she not been fighting for the last 2 years? Has she maybe had a baby or something like that? Maybe a bad injury? Another thing, she doesn't seem to train with anyone of note. Okay, so this looks like she might train at All Stars. So this is Daniel and David Taymor and Alexander Gustafsson. But this was from last year. This was from July 2018. So she's training at All Stars here. What did she say there? Good job. Thanks, Martina Graminus. I'm assuming that's BJJ champs. You very nice. Okay. So she was training at All Stars last year. Not a ton of footage from that gym though. So maybe she just stopped by there. One of the greatest of all time, Miesha Tate. That just looks like a fan pick though. Don't recognize anyone in this picture. Please let me know in the chat, guys, on Twitch. We are on live streaming on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, you're wondering who I'm talking to, this is going out live on Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this video. But yeah, it doesn't look like Dos Santos trains with anyone notable. And she's coming into this fight on a 2-year layoff, which is significant because when fighters are making their UFC debut, obviously a massive percentage of fighters lose when they make their debut. It's not going to be any picnic fighting against a popular hometown fighter like Anderson in your UFC debut. And another thing that's really significant about this is when you make your debut, you often start slow. You know, it takes you a round or a few minutes to adjust to competing under the bright lights of the UFC. And Anderson doesn't give you any time to settle. You know, in her last, well, 2 of her last 3 fights against Kat Zingano, against Holly Holm, we've seen her come out the gate very aggressively, very hard, looking to take Zingano and Holm out very early. She won't give Dos Santos any time to settle. And like we said, Anderson carries legit KO power in every strike. So it's going to be difficult for Dos Santos to get comfortable in there and find her range and settle down before Anderson puts her in some really tricky positions. So yeah, enough talking. Let's see what Dos Santos brings to the table. Let's watch her fight against Isabella Baderek from back in December 2015, about 2 years ago. Baderek was actually in the UFC. Is she still in the UFC? And the one thing I have just noticed, let's slow down for a second. I was going to comment that, okay, she had 1 fight in the UFC and then she was cut. That's a bit harsh. And she has fought 5 times since then and gone 2 and 3 in those fights. But she only had 1 fight. Why did the UFC cut her loose after 1 fight? That's a bit mean. You know, Albu's a tough opponent to make your debut against. No shame in losing to her. But the very lovely Isabel Badurek, the point that I was trying to make is that she's only 5'4" with a 65-inch reach. So it's no surprise she lost to Dos Santos here. I mean, Badurek is... I mean, she's actually got the wingspan to compete in the strawweight division. I'm guessing she fought Dos Santos in the flyweight. Oh, wow. Wow, okay. Wow. So, Badurek fought Dos Santos at catchweight at 141 pounds, which is insane because she's only 5'4" with a 65-inch reach, which means Dos Santos would have towered over her and had an 8-inch reach advantage. No more than that. Wait, 3? Yeah, an 8-inch reach advantage and absolutely towered over her. So that's not a fair fight at all. It's going to be very difficult to judge Dos Santos on this performance, knowing that she had a giant size advantage. Oh yeah, look at this. This is ridiculous. Look at this. They literally look about 3 weight classes apart, which is exactly what they are. Dos Santos absolutely huge. She's obviously in the green. Let's see what happens. This is Ladies Fight Night. I always like to like the videos as well, guys, that we're included in these videos. Adrian Kumar saying if Megan takes another loss, it's back to Invicta. You know what, man? I don't know. I don't think it will be. She's gone 1-2. 1-2 in her 3 fights in the UFC. She's beautiful. She's very, very charismatic on the mic. She's good at marketing because she's obviously got a massive reach. 360,000 followers on Instagram. She's obviously popular in Australia. She's going to sell tickets, put bums on seats. I very much doubt if the UFC would let her go. She probably gets another shot after this if she loses Dos Santos. You're not going to want to let a fighter that's that marketable, that popular, that charismatic, that intelligent go over to one of your rivals with Bellator. I would keep her around. I bet they don't pay her that much. I bet her contract's not great. Bet she's probably only on about $20,000 show, $20,000 win. 50 and 50 max for the UFC, so it's not like they're paying a huge premium to keep her around. But Dos Santos just walking Badurek down here. Very big size advantage. I mean, definitely not blowing my hair back with her striking. She's very rigid, very upright. Not exactly sure what's going on here. Referee's warning her for something. Badurek doesn't look like she's 141 pounds. She looks in decent shape. This girl does not look like a girl. I mean, she's tiny at 5'4". If both these girls weigh the same, that's crazy. But I mean, we don't learn anything about Dos Santos in that fight. Obviously, with a huge size advantage, landed a big shot and just got the finish through ground and pound. There's nothing to learn from that. Pumping the jab in Badurek's face. Lands a big right hook and just goes to work. We don't learn anything at all there. We don't learn anything. Right. Let's get into the next fight. Maybe we can learn a bit more about her in this one. So what weight class is this contesting? So this fight was from around 2 years ago as well. Against Suvi Salmamies. It was a bantamweight. So has Dos Santos ever fought at featherweight before? Bantamweight, featherweight against Sinead Kavanagh, featherweight. Okay, so her last few fights look like they've been at close to bantamweight or a catchweight, and then before that was featherweight. Let's dive right in. See what this fight against Suvi Salmamies shows us from around 2 years ago. And again, let's hit like on this. Hopefully we can see some grappling here. So, from the way she moves, carries herself, her stance, she certainly looks like a kickboxer. So will we get to see any grappling? At the moment, you're not really seeing anything that would cause Megan Anderson a problem. I understand we only watched a few minutes of footage, but definitely not blowing my hair back at the moment. She's quite rigid, quite flat-footed, fights with her hands low, which could obviously get her into big trouble against Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson, vicious head kicks, legit KO power in every strike. And again, Dos Santos being told off for something. I'm not sure what happened there. If it was an eye poke. It must have been an eye poke. Definitely wearing some damage there. She look ready to go though. She looks fine. So again, doesn't look particularly dangerous with her hands. Not really too much pop in her shots. Not too technical. I mean, demonstrating decent takedown defense there. You know, decent balance, but she's not going to have to worry about that against Megan Anderson. Anderson's not going to try and take her down. Now, interestingly, obviously, part of the strategy that Holly Holm used to beat Megan Anderson was to tie her up in the clinch and basically stifle that pressure from Megan Anderson, that forward pressure from Anderson, just by chipping away at her in the clinch. But Dos Santos doesn't really look that strong in the clinch position here. She is staying calm, which is good. But she's allowing Salma Mies to control her body here. Salma Mies has got her hands connected around Dos Santos' body. Dos Santos not really showing any urgency to break her grip or fight for underhooks. There she thought about fighting for underhooks, but didn't really try that hard. And at the moment, she's just accepting being in this position without working too hard to get out of it. And Salma Mies lets her off the hook. And they're back in the centre of the cage. So Dos Santos not looking like a grappler at all, and also not looking particularly dangerous standing either. So right now it's not looking good for her. Referee loving to get involved here. Salma Mies tying her up again. This time Dos Santos looks like she's choosing to defend with a guillotine, which is not the right thing to do. Thought about a trip takedown there off the guillotine, but now she's abandoned everything. And Salma Mies controlling her in the clinch again. Both girls battling for position. Dos Santos choosing. So that's quite a good indicator of, you know, whether she'd be able to come out and control Megan Anderson in the clinch. She got control of Salma Mies' body there. You know, with her hands connected around Salma Mies' body, tried reverse position and control her against the cage, and she couldn't. So if she's not able to control, you know, a 34-year-old 5'5" rock chick that competes in the flyweight division, it's unlikely she'll be able to control a 6-foot-tall, explosive, athletic, powerful Megan Anderson. And that was the end of the first round. So Dos Santos not really showing us anything to worry about there. At this stage, you start to think, is Anderson parlay material? It's tough to cap anyone at 90%, but at the same time, Dos Santos is just not showing anything that would cause Anderson a problem here. I mean, it goes without saying, based on what we're seeing so far, Anderson's got to be in your DraftKings team. Because with Dos Santos fighting with her hands low as well, it does leave her wide open to the KO. She doesn't move her head much. She's quite rigid, quite flat-footed. You know, if she's the hammer right now, yeah. She was able to walk bad direct down, pressure it, dictate the pace. She's able to do exactly the same as Salmamies, and you know, Dos Santos does have decent footwork. Every time Salmamies comes forward and looks to land a shot, she just slips outside the range, but not going to be easy to do. I mean, it's easy to do that against a girl that's 5'5". Not easy to do it against someone like Megan Anderson. I mean, you saw there as Salmamies came forward, she just slipped out of her range and then got right back on top of her with the pressure. That's great. But it wouldn't be as easy to do that against someone like Anderson. And again, you know, she's fighting an opponent who's 5'5", who's clearly not that dangerous standing, doesn't really have any power in her shots, not that technical. And Dos Santos isn't really letting her hands go. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. She's throwing a jab out there, but she hasn't really done any damage, hasn't really hurt Salmamies in any way. And you imagine if she's standing in front of Anderson in this range, there's literally nuclear missiles coming back from Anderson. You couldn't fight like this against Anderson. You've either got to try and take her down to slow that pressure, or... Wow. So Dos Santos giving up a really weak takedown there, but does a good job of scrambling back to her feet before getting taken down again. Now we get to see a bit of grappling. This is where it gets very interesting. So, you know, Dos Santos did well to kind of recover from being taken down easily, getting the better of that scramble where she showed strong hips to wind up on top here. But again, you know, she's grappling with a girl that's 5'5", that should probably be fighting in the flyweight division or strawweight division. She's undersized for a bantamweight. So it's no surprise really that Dos Santos is able to use her physicality to get the better of these grappling exchanges. Whereas against a larger opponent, again, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but Megan Anderson is 6 foot tall. Her physicality will be much more difficult for Dos Santos to gain those kind of positions against, just because she's so much bigger, so much stronger, so much more athletic. And Dos Santos just going to stay heavy from top position by the look of it. The referees, they stand them up. Dos Santos got her toes hooked in the cage here, which is kind of against the rules. The referee stands them up anyway. Adrian Kumar just saying that Megan could KO Santos with an elbow off the clinch by the looks of it. I agree, man. Anderson's nasty in the clinch. And Dos Santos is quite laid back, quite lackadaisical in the clinch. Doesn't really show any urgency to get out of there. And right now, all I'm thinking about is, I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking Anderson's starting to look like parlay material. Second thing I'm thinking is Megan Anderson's Instagram profile is absolute fire. It will be really, really easy to find a picture for my thumbnail, which is great because sometimes it takes ages to find a decent picture. But Megan Anderson got material for days. Her Instagram profile is definitely a hell of a lot more entertaining than Dos Santos. And again, she's being controlled in the clinch here by a 5'5" flyweight, and not really showing any urgency to get out of this position. Why be here? You know, you've shown you've got a big physical advantage. Show some urgency to get you back off the cage. You know, don't let Salmamies end around with a takedown. She's in on a deep single leg. And again, the referee gets involved. Not too sure why. Let's just go on to the third round. But Dos Santos certainly not showing me anything so far that would make me want to take a shot on her, which is a bit annoying really, because I thought that Spivak and Dos Santos may have been potential bets with them being such big underdogs. You know, you see it, like I said in the last video, whenever you see a heavyweight as a big underdog, that gets my spidey senses tingling, because every heavyweight has the power to hurt every heavyweight. They all carry knockout power. And of course, Tuivas's ground game and takedown defense is really poor. But Megan Anderson's takedown defense and ground game is so poor that I thought, you know, if Dos Santos shows any kind of grappling, really, she could be a decent bet here. She's not showing us anything, boys. So Money Man Investing is saying, has just said that he also agrees Anderson's looking like parlay material. But who do we parlay her with? Yeah, there's not a lot of other big favourites. You can't parlay her with Tuivasa, not after we saw in the last video. I haven't researched the Rostam Ackman fight versus Jake Matthews yet, but Ackman's decent. I wouldn't go there. You never know. There's not much footage available on Maki Pitolo, so that's going to be a tough one to research. Maybe Khalid Taha, but I haven't researched this fight. Maybe, though, we've got Bellator 229 this weekend. Maybe Bellator 229 will throw up some fighters we can bang into a parlay with her. Who's on this card? Also, I haven't researched it yet, but Koreshkov looks like a decent bet against Lorenz Larkin, but I haven't researched it yet. I don't know much about most of these guys, to be honest, boys. I'm going to have to research that card. Not sure we'll get much parlay material on there either. Tasmanian 187 is saying maybe Anderson win by not going the distance is interesting. Yeah, man, let's have a look at the odds on that. Anderson to win by knockout or TKO. So the odds on that aren't available yet. Anderson wins inside the distance, close to even money, not great. I'd like to see what the odds on Anderson to win by knockout or TKO are, if it's like better than even money. I mean, Dos Santos just to me looks like she's going to be a bit of a sitting duck with her hands low, chin up high and exposed, quite flat-footed, quite rigid. We know how aggressive Megan Anderson starts. I wouldn't bet on Anderson to win by sub, man. I just don't think she's that kind of... I just don't think she's skilled enough. And you can see even in these positions, I mean, even defending these positions, Dos Santos has some level of... I mean, I say that, she's just doing all kinds of mistakes here. She should be fighting for underhooks. Instead, she's just allowing her opponent to get deeper in on her hips while she chooses to strike. Any half-decent wrestler would have been able to put this girl on her back so easily. Dos Santos has no takedown defense at all, but she's getting away with this because she's fighting a much smaller opponent. She's got decent balance, but she's making a lot of mistakes. Moonskull85 has said, even though there's limited footage on Pitolo, I can say Potter is very average everywhere, maybe decent to parlay with Anderson. Yeah, man, I wasn't impressed with Potter. I remember researching him for his UFC debut, and he did look super low level. How long was that fight on the Contender Series? It was over very quick. Maybe I can find a torrent of this or something. Boys, if you can find this fight between Chris... If anybody watching this can find this fight for me... I struggle to find this myself. If you could find this fight for me from Bellator 213 between Maki Pitolo and Chris Cisneros, please leave a comment below on YouTube. Please, YouTube crew, help me out. Leave a comment below. Because I would love to watch that fight, because there's not much recent footage available on Pitolo over the last couple of years. Obviously, 2 of his 3 fights have ended very quickly in the first round. These fights were a long time ago, so I would love to watch this fight that went deep into the 3rd from Bellator 2 and 3. If you know where that is, please leave a comment below. And Dos Santos being point deducted, what a shame. We've seen enough, boys. We have seen enough. We don't need to see anything else. I think it's fair to say, you know, we'll just leave this playing while we're wrapping up. Oh, she seems more aggressive here, actually. This fight is Dos Santos against Kerry Hughes from back in February 2017 at BC MMA. Is she going to show a different side here? And always, guys, remember to like videos on YouTube. It helps a lot. Always like the videos, boys. Please like this video on YouTube. Please like the video. Helps the channel grow a lot. But Dos Santos looking much more aggressive here. Caught Kerry Hughes there in the first 30 seconds, coming out very aggressive. Looking much sharper as well here. Much lighter on her feet. Better footwork. Interesting as well. Did you guys notice that? So, you know what we were saying about... there we go. Bam. Good camera angle. You know what we were saying earlier on about Dos Santos not training at any notable gyms when we went through her Instagram profile? You can see here that she's wearing an MMA Factory rash guard, which is the same gym in Paris that Francis Ngannou came up through. So obviously she's been training... Oh, she's got the shorts as well. Obviously she's been training at MMA Factory at some point in her career. Maybe not at the moment, but she probably has come up training under the same gym as Francis Ngannou. And what's interesting is, in the most recent fights we watched of her against Suvi and Badarek, she looked quite stiff, quite rigid. Wasn't blowing my hair back at all in those two fights we watched. But already here against Kerry Hughes, she looks much faster, much sharper, much more aggressive. So could that be, you know, back when she was training at MMA Factory, she was taking her career seriously. She was very good. But maybe, you know, if she's gone to train at a small independent gym, maybe she's gone backwards a little bit, because you can just tell by the way she moves, you know, the way she landed that right hand, perfect timing. And Kerry Hughes in on a takedown here. But we've seen also straight away Dos Santos go to the underhook on the right side here, which will make it very difficult for Kerry Hughes to get this. It's a deep underhook. I mean, what Dos Santos should be doing is trying to get the underhook on the other side, but one is better than nothing. Kerry Hughes trying to hook the legs now, and she did get a takedown, but again, Dos Santos showing a good ability to scramble when she gets to the ground, or when she hits the ground, just like we saw when she hit that reversal against Sulmamies in the last fight, and they're back in the centre of the cage. Let's see how Dos Santos looks now. Again, much more aggressive, much sharper, interesting. A different side to Dos Santos here. She's looking very different to how she looked in those other two fights. Now she's the aggressor in the clinch. And Kerry Hughes is more of... She's more of a natural featherweight. She actually fought this past weekend at Bellator Dublin at featherweight. So this is a much more even contest. I mean, this fight was at bantamweight, but Kerry Hughes has fought at featherweight a couple times. And doesn't appear to be that much of a size difference between both these girls. Obviously, Dos Santos is quite a bit taller. But even you can just see, look at her arms here. Dos Santos way more muscular. She looks in better shape. She's moving better. She's sharper. Looks like she's hitting harder. Seeing a different side of Dos Santos here. This is making me not want to put Megan Anderson into parlays. This is telling me there's a little bit more risk here, because if Dos Santos shows up looking like this, the fight could get spicy. You know, you don't want to be betting a big favourite in a fight where someone could show up making big improvements. You know, if Dos Santos, for whatever reason, wasn't taking her career that seriously over the last couple of years, and now that she's got a chance in the UFC, she's taking her career seriously again. I mean, she looks sharp, she looks aggressive here, she looks pretty technical. I would actually not want to bet Megan Anderson based on this fight, because if it's unlikely, right, that Dos Santos will show up looking like this, because she's looked pretty shit in her last two fights. But if she does, you know, take this camp very seriously, because it's a big shot in the UFC. If she goes back to training hard, taking her career seriously, and shows up looking like that, well, I wouldn't feel so great about betting on Megan Anderson as a big favourite. So this is actually a pass for me now, boys. Dos Santos looked alright there, very aggressive. I mean, look at all the damage she was able to inflict in that first round. She inflicted more damage to Kerry Hughes in 2 minutes than in 15 minutes against Sulmamies. So I would not want to bet on Anderson as such a big favourite based on what I've just seen. So let's see Let's see what we've got in the live chat on Twitch, guys. Remember, this is being live streamed on twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler. If you would like to take part in these live streams where I research the fights with you guys, please jump on Twitch and subscribe. I will always, of course, upload these videos afterwards to YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe and leave a comment below. Let's get to some questions, though. So Tasmanian 187 has said on his betting site they've got basically all they've got is Megan Anderson to win inside the distance. That's true, man, but towards the end of the week, they'll add the specific props on Megan to win by knockout or TKO. It probably won't be that different to the odds on her to win inside the distance, but you know, you might get a bit more value out of it. Let's play this in the background while I'm answering these questions. Adrian Kumar 99 has said Megan Anderson and Khalid Taha to both win inside the distance sounds like a good shot. I'll try and research that Khalid fight tomorrow, man. See what he's throwing us. Oh, Demon Slay's given us. Thank you very much, Demon Slay, man. Demon Slay has helped me a lot today, and I really appreciate it, dude. In the last video, in the last stream, Demon Twitch told me how to change my Demon Slay told me how to change my settings so the videos automatically got uploaded to Twitch. So I appreciate that, dude. And he's just given me a torrent to find the Bellator 213 fight with Maki Pitolo. So I really appreciate that, dude. I'm gonna download that as soon as this video, or as soon as we're done streaming. Thanks a lot, dude. Thanks a lot, Demon Slayer. Means a lot, man. Oh, okay, and Turning Screws is saying the Maki Pitolo versus Chris Cisneros fight is on the Bellator app for free. Would that be on the is the Bellator app the same as the Bellator website? Because I don't think the Bellator app works in the UK. I might be wrong, but if I were to type in Pitolo, are all the fights on the app the same as the fights on the website? Tasmanian 187 said if Dos Santos eats those shots she ate from Anderson, it's game over. I agree, man. Hughes got a few shots in that would make the difference if they were coming from Anderson. Yeah, I agree, dude. Tivo Imamka has said Adesanya or Rob. We will get into that fight tomorrow, man. C Gordon 97 has said your stream category is UFC 3 the game. Not sure if you can get in trouble for wrong category, but just chatting is probably more accurate, just a heads up. Oh, thanks, mate. Honestly, I wasn't sure what category to put in, because I was trying to find like a gambling category or something and nothing came up. So if I just put it to just chatting, does that cover me? I'm really sorry, boys. This Twitch thing's all brand new to me. There's nothing for gambling. If I just put just chatting. Oh, just chatting. Nice one, dude. I'll change it now. Thanks a lot, Gordon, mate. I really appreciate it, man. Try the videos link up top. So Turning Screws has said try the videos link up top. Ah, I see. Nice one, dude. Nice one. Let's see if it's in here, shall we? I might have to scroll through these. There's no search engine. Have you, Turning Screws, have you found the Pitolo fight on here? Because we could do a live research video if that fight's available. What happens if I search for... There's no search engine on this site. How shit is that? Come on, Scott Coker, man. And why haven't they got a site like Fight Pass? I'd gladly pay for their content. There's no search engine. How crazy is that? We'll figure it out. I'll try and find it. We will figure it out. Shlow22, you are not able to rewind the live stream on Twitch, but I will be uploading it to YouTube as soon as we are done here, mate. So you'll be able to watch the full thing on YouTube. Big thank you as well to everyone that's coaching me through this Twitch thing. I've never used Twitch. I don't know how it works. So like C Gordon, dropping knowledge, Demon Slay dropping knowledge. It means a lot, boys. You're helping me out a lot. I really, really appreciate it. While I get to grips with how everything works, try and stay out of trouble. Oh, thanks, Turning Screws. Cheers, mate. Oh, Hot Mayonnaise coming through in a big way. Hot Mayonnaise 72. Thank you so much, dude. I think he's just found the fight for us we're looking for. Mackie, but yes, I can't access it because I have it's blocked in the UK, but I can get on it with a VPN. Now, I don't know what a VPN is going to do to my ability to stream. It might fuck it up, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do a live research video on this fight because using the VPN might mess things up. But I will now be able to research it and do a breakdown video. So thank you very much, man. Thanks a lot, dude. That is going to help me out a lot. I need to save that so that I don't lose it. You boys are dropping knowledge and helping me out loads. I really, really appreciate it. But yeah, what I'm going to do now, guys, that is it for this Megan Anderson. That's it for the Megan Anderson breakdown and live stream. Hope you enjoyed it. I think this is a clear pass. I think if you're watching this, you can see it's a clear pass. Maybe you want to put Anderson into your parlays and stuff. Based on this performance against Kerry Hughes, it's a little bit risky. Obviously, I think Anderson still gets it done. But remember, to get any value on Anderson, you've got to cap her at close to 90%, which is a stretch. But there's no way that I would take a gamble on Santos. She didn't look great at all in her last two fights. But what I'm going to do now, boys, I have had a heads up from a couple of people that the fight between Jamie Malarkey and Brad Riddle could be very good for betting. So what I am going to do, I'm going to go and get all their fights loaded up, and I will be back in the next 30 minutes to do another live stream of this fight, because I've heard from a couple very reliable sources this fight might be a good one for betting. So come back soon on twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler and watch that live in the next 30 minutes to an hour. And also, if you have watched this video on YouTube, this one, Brad Riddle versus Jamie Malarkey, will probably already be uploaded to my channel, so check it out. And if you like this video, guys, please hit the like button below and subscribe whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. And also leave a comment to let me know what you think of this fight. Are you going to roll the dice on Megan Anderson? Are you happy to take a little bit of risk? Do you think it's unlikely Dos Santos is going to show up looking like this because of how bad she looked in her last two fights? Even if she does look like this, are you still happy to bet on Anderson because you think she's good enough to get it done? Let me know in the comments, guys. Are you putting Anderson in a parlay this weekend? And if you are, who are you going to parlay her with? Or are you a crazy lunatic gambler and you're going to take a shot on Dos Santos? Let me know. I love reading your comments. Please leave a comment below. And with that, boys, I need to go and get ready to do this next video for Malarkey against Brad Riddle. Watch out for that very soon. Nice one, boys. I'll be back in a jiffy.